So, as we approach the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere, three eye atlas traveling through the solar system, Mars and Venus, both having been touched, or not touched, but closely, what would be the word, suffused by the blessings or the energies of three eye atlas. And now both of them have traveled behind the sun as they recalibrate this new energy. And they hide behind the sun until spring next year. I find this really fascinating. There's so much about Three Eye Atlas that's been going on. I shared a meditation not long ago about bringing in the new energies, and I did it a few times, and I wasn't going to share it because it mashed me up so significantly. You know, I kind of did the like, yeah, bring it on. I want to bring it all in now. And then I would just be like ripped asunder emotionally and relationally. And it wasn't even my relationships. It was more just the carnage I would see around me happening amongst people I love, um, and the wider world just making a mess. We're just making a big mess. You know, the world, the wider world, there's so much crazy shit going on. The spiritual world, so much fluff. And just for a little example, so I've lived my entire adult life on the path. I was awake from birth. I mean, I was a blue baby. I came in dead, so I came in on a near-death experience, um, which has had both good and bad sides to it. But I've been awake most of my life. When I was 20, so this would have been 1995, I was at a festival, the Big Green Gathering, and it was about 3, 4 in the morning. The sun was starting to come up. And I was laying there and I could hear this woman. So she would probably have been about my age now. So she was, you know, in her sort of late 40s, early 50s, maybe a bit older. And she was saying, "Where's my utopia? Where's my effing utopia? I've been doing this shit for 30 years and it still isn't getting any better." And here I am, 30 years on. And at times, it up until recently, it's like, yeah, we're really doing it. We're getting there. We're kind of, everything's transforming. So many people are waking up. So much ascension of consciousness, so much awakening, so much truth, so much disclosure. And yet the hatred, the judging, the othering, the blaming, the shaming, the same old story in the wider world is being perpetuated again and again and again. And we need such resilience because I'm also hearing spiritual people talking about NPCs, non player characters. This is suggesting that some of the people that you see on the street, some of the people you see walking around are like non player characters. They're just bodies. I find this horrific. This is the language of a pre genocide. This is the language of fascism. And it's coming out of the mouth of spiritual people. As soon as we other somebody, as soon as we make them less than human, this is when horrible things start to happen. I also hear other spiritual people talking about 144,000. Oh yeah, the 144,000 light workers or star seeds are going to ascend. They're going to get picked up by the aliens or whatever it is. And I'm just like, what on earth? What is going on? No, 144,000 people aren't the only ones going through. We don't go through until we all go through. And when I sit with that, that's when I can fall into grief. Because when I look, when I'm, okay, awakenings, I hear people saying, oh, you know, I had my awakening 3 years ago and I've been teaching since da da da. I had my first awakening when I was 19. And that was a textbook Kundalini awakening. All right, but it wasn't complete, and I knew it wasn't complete when I was 26, and I was in the blessings of an enlightened being for a period of time, and I'd done 3 months of sadhana from 6:30. Sadhana is spiritual practice. 6:30 in the morning until 7 o'clock at night every day for 2 months, doing 2,000 prostrations a day to the enlightened mind. And then I met the enlightened mind in a human form. And then after being around them for about 3 or 4 weeks, I then had a more complete awakening. I was 26. I'm 50 now, and I still am reactive. And I still get pissed off. And I still shout and lose my shit at my children. And I still am grief soaked and heartbroken of what I see going on in the world. And so 3i Atlas, what's it about? Oh, it was it. I saw. I heard someone. Oh, it's uplifting the world. It's certainly bringing transformation. But for this transformation to happen, some of the beautiful people that I listen, Pam, Zach, David, Charles, thank you for being voices of reasons, voices of truth, voices of grounded awakening, because we have got a long way to go. And although the awakening can happen in a moment, to recognize, to realize what you truly are, that you are God, that you are a facet of God, you are a child of God, and you are here to play, to love, to relate, to be in the duality so that you can experience life. Because unfortunately, without the duality, none of this can happen. Without the light and the dark, none of this can happen. And you can't just escape off to the light. You can raise the frequency, and you can travel through thinner layers of compression because the darkness compresses. And don't tell me the darkness is all bad, because when a mother gives birth, what does her womb do? It contracts. Okay, when something dies in this beautiful world, what does it do? It composts, it breaks down. Okay, so there's light and dark, and then there's the judgmental mind of us. Okay, nature goes on without having to be judgmental. Nature carries on beautifully without all this nonsense projecting onto it. Okay, and humanity's biggest problem right now is our shaming, our blaming, and our judgmentalness. Okay, and this is the work. So yeah, you can have an awakening. How many of you, please tell me in the comments, how many of you have had an awakening and then you've been completely free of judgment? Your mind never goes there. I mean, on my second awakening, I think I had a 2-month samadhi where I did not have an afflictive emotion or a judgmental projection for 2 months. Pretty amazing. But they came back because the mind and the things stuck within us, they need to be cleared. They need to be cleared. And this is the work. So 3i Atlas, uplifting humanity or making us aware of the weights that we're carrying and letting us see what we need to transform and what we need to purify and what we need to release. Okay, and it isn't going to come from blaming everybody else, even, you know, even blaming the elites. They're only there because we've allowed them to be there. And saying that, we have got ourselves in a real sticky position, because every time consciousness gets to a place where it's starting to awaken and liberate itself and take responsibility for its actions, be a sovereign being, be a response able. I'm able to respond. I don't need to react. Every time humanity starts to get even close to this, those that are grabbing the power, because they are esoteric, they know about the astrology, they know about the duality and the polarity and the union, they know everything the spiritual ones among us know, and they utilize it for their own agendas of power and control, and to keep, I mean, they're like materialist esoterics. They will never win. The liberation of humanity, the awakening, the Christed awakening of humanity is unavoidable. It will happen. It is happening. And yet the journey from here to the Christed humanity, living beautifully, this bit, this is up to us. Okay? And yes, those beings in power and in control, every time we get close to it, they sabotage it. And it's happening now with the rise of fascism, the rise of hatred. You know, you keep people on a back foot, you keep people struggling and surviving, and they don't have time for compassion and tolerance and kindness. They're just struggling. And this is what I see going on right now. I see a lot of people struggling. And even in the privileged position that I'm in, where I don't have bills to pay, I don't have mortgage, rent, I live off grid. I've made choices that I know I can cope with. I've made choices that are as outside of the system as they possibly can be because I know this thing is crumbling and dying. And I don't want to go down with it when it goes, and I don't want my children to go down with it when it goes. But I'm still entangled with it. I'm still very entangled with it because when you live off grid in the arse end of nowhere, you need a car to go and get things. You know, I have teeth that still break because I'm still eating shitty food sometimes that comes from these shops that say they sell food but just sell chemicals. I don't generally buy many, but it's still there and it creeps in, and it's impossible to live in this colonialized world without its impacts impacting us. And this is the work. This is what we're being asked to do. You know, we're having to uplift ourselves and each other, but most of us are so exhausted, so fatigued, so struggling just to stay afloat that when our neighbour suddenly needs help because they're ill or they've hurt themselves or they've got financial problems, there's nobody to help because everybody's struggling. And then we get angry. Then we get stressed out. Then we want to blame people because it's too hard to believe that we've allowed ourselves to get into this situation. And actually, I mean, we're in a free will construct, but a lot of the choices, like when all the media, when all the food you eat lowers your frequency, the food that your kids want, the desire realm. We live in a desire realm, and a lot of us are still very well. All of us, we're still driven by all of that. The choices, they're not really choices. I go in a shop with my kids because I'm traveling somewhere and I want to buy something to eat. There's literally nothing in that shop that I consider food except a bottle of water and possibly a packet of crisps that have been fried in rancid fat that are just potatoes and salt. And it's still in rancid fat, so it ain't going to be good for me. And then, you know, internet, telly, how much of what we see is laced with this bullshit, with this mind control. You know, all of Netflix, I don't think I've seen very few things on Netflix where it's actually telling humanity, you're beautiful, you're a child of God, you know, love and be compassionate. No, even the good guys in all of these films kill people. I mean, come on. Even in all these films, there are good guys and bad guys. Come on. So, what am I saying? What I'm saying is, in this transformation, we are going to see and we are going to go through something we've never gone through before. And nobody knows what it will be. None of the prophecies, all the prophecies talk about what comes at the end of it, outside of it, the rebirth of humanity, the new earth. This bit, yeah, this bit will happen. But how we get from here to here is shrouded in mist, in the mystery. And there's not one prophet, there's not one prophecy that knows what is going to happen in this phase. A lot of them in the past have said it's going to be horrific. A lot of them say it's unwritten because it's unwritten. It's up to us whether we transition beauty. And also, it's a big old world. There are going to be some people that have managed to curate a place, curate something where they'll be able to carry each other through a bit more gently, perhaps, than others that haven't given any thought to it. Those that maybe want to chip themselves up with a microchip because they think having the internet in their head's a great idea. You know, we haven't even realized, understood, or uncovered the technology that's in our own body. You know, we've got everything we need here: multi-dimensional access, telepathy, empathy, complete unity consciousness. What is within the human being, the dream realm? I mean, read of light, no, of spirit and water, and that will show you what some indigenous tribes have been able to access on a level of otherworldly technologies. You don't need spaceships, you don't need wires, you don't need metal, you just need this. And you certainly don't need metal in your body. And you start doing that, humanity, or that level of humanity, it's a straight path to extinction. I mean, in a way, we don't even need to worry about it as long as as long as they don't try and enforce it, because then everyone's going to have to come and live like this, which is probably a good idea. Anyway, I think I've ranted enough for today. But my main I guess the main point of what I wanted to get through is this period of time. This period of time that's shrouded in mist, the cocoon that we're entering, and we are entering it. We have to be united. It's been the same message every single in line, every Jesus, Buddha, white buffalo woman, all of them. Love, compassion, relationship, right relationship. We've got to come together. We've got to stop blaming each other. And if you are faced with people that are blaming and shaming, please don't join in. Please stay in your heart and have compassion for the pain that they're in, because they are in pain. We're all in pain. But some, it's more acute than others. And some don't understand where the pain's coming from and are just angry and have just grown up in a colonized culture that blames. That's what we do. We've got an English language that's terrible for collective, compassionate communication. And we've got a long way to go, but we're doing it. And if you are on the cutting edge of that axe that's slicing the new way through the dark, yeah, you're going to be filled with the light and you're going to have the skills, but you're also cutting through the dark. And although I love the dark, so don't get me wrong, again, this is failings of language. I need a few words for darkness, because there's the dark that's just simply the light and the dark. And then there's the dark that's filled with our judgment and our hatred and all of our BS. But as we move through this phase and as we purge and as the light comes in and our body, and we uplift Mother Earth and each other, as we slowly grow into a much more mature humanity, there's going to be a lot of crap to let go of. And I think we're quite unprepared for what that might be. So there are people that know, there are people talking about it. But if you hear people just talking about the love and the light and the rapture and the ascension and escaping off into the light, I mean, it's okay. It's up to everyone's welcome to their opinion. But it's together. It's together. And we have to anchor into this. The light's up here. Darkness is down here. The way through is here. Again and again, it's the only message. The way through is here. The answer is simple. It's kindness. It's compassion and wisdom. Because there is wisdom and there is discernment. You are allowed to say no. But it's got to come from discernment, and it's got to come from wisdom and compassion. Okay. Peace. Take care.